Climate change is currently affecting our planet and the organisms on it. But determining just how intensely it's doing so and whether those organisms have the necessary tools to adjust remains challenging. To help answer this question, a team of researchers, including myself, have been monitoring populations of Eurasian common lizards in France for over 20 years now. Lizards and other ectotherms, or organisms that rely on external sources to regulate their body temperature, are ideal to consult on climate change-related matters due to their sensitivity to fluctuations in their environment. These lizards are constantly having to modify their behavior, going between sun and shade, rocks and burrows. If it's too hot or too cold, it leaves them unable to feed or breed, and that has dire consequences. Part of my work aims to determine whether these lizards have what it takes to modify their behavior or acclimate in the wake of climate change and the temperature extremes we predict under it. For example, some places in France this year had seemingly endless rain with only a few days of sun during the breeding season, while others were dry and warm, refuting the common misconception that climate change only means warming temperatures. It can also mean more storms and cold spells, and thus less opportunities for these lizards to carry out the functions that they need to survive. I performed experiments with these lizards by taking them from different populations, representing a wide variety of habitats that vary in their risk of climate change-induced extinction. And I exposed them to different basking opportunities in the lab, representing long, warm days or short days with less access to heat. My results showed many of these populations were in fact able to take those environmental cues I gave them and adjust their behavior. They basked less in the long treatment and more in the short treatment, as we would expect. However, the population at high risk for extinction showed no differences between the treatments and ultimately basked less as a whole. This suggests they might have exhausted their adaptive potential. In other words, the populations that have been more buffered against these climate events still have room to adjust, but those that have been suffering longer are at the end of their rope. My findings indicate that these lizards have short-term solutions to a long-term problem, and they can only do so much. Population-level extinctions of these lizards are happening in our lifetimes, and I personally witnessed the demise of a population in my time as a PhD student. We need to work together as a global community to reduce human impacts on our climate, or both humans and our flora and fauna will continue to suffer. These lizards are the climate canary, and if they could sing, they would be sounding the alarm. But since they can't, I'm here to sound it for them. Thank you.